Geronimo Stilton, The Ship of Secrets, the 10th adventure in the Kingdom of Fantasy, the best cousin in the world. It was a gloomy Friday afternoon in New Mouse City. The weather was damp and cold, and I was holed up in my office. Hard at work. Oops, I'm sorry, I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Stilton, Geronimo Stilton. I run the Rodents Gazette, the most famous newspaper on Mouse Island. Anyways, as I was saying, I was in the office and a thunderstorm was brewing. The wind was blowing so hard it rattled the windows and bent the branches of the tree. For a second, I thought I heard a strange voice outside. Night, night, night. I ran to look out the window, but all I saw were rodents scurrying to get indoors. How strange! It was probably all my imagination, or it could have been just the sound of the wind. I worked until late afternoon, while the sky grew darker and more threatening. In the distance, I heard the booming thunder. Then suddenly, the door in my office flew open. Someone dressed in a black jacket, a fluttering red silk cape, and a top hat came in. He was holding a skull-shaped knob at the end. He wore a black mask over his snout, and in his right paw he carried a small crystal ball full of sparkling red liquid. Behind him he pulled a red velvet-lined coffin on wheels, but the most terrifying thing about this mysterious rodent was that she had fangs just like the vampire. Ha! I screamed. I turned as pale as mozzarella. I'm not brave at all. In fact, I'm a really scary mouse. Then a bolt of thunder lit up the room. Zing! A second later, the lights went out. Before I fainted away from fright, the mysterious mouse giggled. Geronimo, you really are easy to fool, the mouse said. It was then I only recognized his voice. I looked more closely and saw the teeth were made up of plastic. Furthermore, the mouse's paw was on the light switch. The light hadn't gone out. He had flickered them off. You're not a vampire, I said accusingly. I'm a cousin Trap. Oh, Jedikins, you're so gullible, he said, laughing. So what do you think of my vampire costume? I figured out I'll try it out on you to see how authentic it is. I dried the sweat from my forehead. My whiskers were still trembling with fear. Ha ha, I said weakly. It was very good costume, but you almost scared me out of my fur. Oh, come on, Jellyberry, he snickered. Can't you take a little joke? I'm the best cousin in the world, right? Well, you aren't boring, I replied. My cousin can be a bit much. I just knew you would like my costume, Trap continued, smiling proudly. Now aren't you going to ask why I'm dressed like a vampire, Jenny mister? No thanks, I said. I'm really not interested, Trap. I'm very busy working and my name is Geronimo. That's Jeronimo. Trap drank a sip of tomato juice, cleaned his whiskers on my tie, and giggled. But I think you would find it very interesting, Geronimo, he said slyly. After all, you are invited too, he waved. A card under my nose, but I couldn't see what is written. When Trap read it aloud, Mr. Geronimo Stilton is invited to the New Mouse City Grand Masked Ball. All guests must arrive dressed as their favorite fantasy characters. Costumes are mandatory, no exceptions. The ball begins Friday at midnight in the ballroom at Goldenfur Castle. On the back of the invitation there was a note. By the way, don't be late. There will be all you can eat cheese buffet. But it's first come, first serve. Masks for mice, I hit my head with a paw. The Grand Masked Ball was the most famous party in New York City, and it was happening tonight. I had completely forgotten. Chew each other chunks. I promised Cripella won't cackle for I will go with her, but I don't have a costume yet. Trap just shook his head. Oh, Giddy, you're in trouble, he said in a sing-song voice. Cripella has a terrible temper. I absolutely had to fix this. So I called my sister Tia right away. Hi Tia, I said quickly. Can you find a costume for tonight's mask ball? Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Came her reply. Everyone knows the store in Umo City don't have any costume left. I was about to cry. Cripella might be my friend, but she has a terrible temper. I told her I would go to the ball with her months ago. What in the name of cheese was I going to do? But then Tia had an idea. Wait a minute, Geronimo. You could try my friend Felica Fashion First store. It's called Mask for Mice, and it's at 13th Masquerade Lane. Give her my name, okay? Hopefully she can help you. I dashed out the door right away and flagged down on taxi. Number 13 Masquerade Lane. I told the driver, and please hurry. A few minutes later, the taxi stopped in front of a store with large painted wooden sign that read Masks for Mice. This was it. As I paid my diner, I noticed that the mouse dressed as a witch was docking up the shop. Wait, please don't close. I need a costume right away. The rodent at the door was wearing a pointy hat, a purple silk dress, and pointy tour shoes. You're Tia's brother, Geronimo, right? She asked. Yes, that's me, I replied. My name is Tilitan, Geronimo Tilitan, and I need. She cut me before I could finish. I know what you need, she said, a costume for tonight's ball. But I don't have any left. That's how it goes. It's the best party of the year. Everyone's going, even me. I'm dressed as a witch. What do you think of my costume? It's great, I replied. Then I fell to my knees, sobbing. But don't you have a costume for me too? Any costume will do. I'll take whatever you got. Otherwise, Cripella will Felicia thundered and then interrupted me again. Old mozzarella, she exclaimed. Say no more. I went to school with Cripella. She's a great friend, but at most has a terrifying temper. Follow me inside and let's see what I can find. I followed her up a spherical staircase and into a dark room. I was feeling hopeful until my eyes just adjusted to the dark all around me. Were thousands and thousands and thousands of hangers, but they were all empty. Felicia began to rummage around the corner. Oh, it must be here, or maybe here, or it could be here, she muttered. Oh, here it is. I knew I would find it somewhere. Fake gold crown, frog mask, green tunic, green ties. Finally, at the bottom of a very dusty trunk, she found a green tunic and tights, a frog mask, and a fake gold crown, decorated with fake stones. There was also a broken chain with a medallion on it that read, Who wants to kiss me? Just like a frog. But, but what's this? I asked. Why is the frog prince? Costume Felicia replied brightly, It's perfect for tonight's ball. The theme is fantasy characters, you know. I put on the costume and placed the medallion around my neck, and placed my neck and the crown on my head. Then we went to the store. Felicia pushed me in front of the giant mirror. When you wear this costume, you must stay in character, she explained. That means you have to stay crouched like a frog, keep your knees bent like a frog, move by jumping like a frog, talk by croaking just like a frog. The crown on your head shows that you are waiting for a beautiful princess to kiss you. She continued. Then you will turn into a prince. Watch out, Geronimo. Who knows how many rodents will try to smooth you tonight, she giggled. So what do you say, Felicia asked. Do you like it? Do you want it? Are you taking the costume or not? I need to close the shop and go to finish home, getting ready. I'm going to the party too, remember? I didn't know what to say. I really didn't want to dress like a frog, and certainly I didn't want every rodent at the ball trying to kiss me. Thanks, Felisa, I replied. This costume is nice, but it's really silly. I'm a very serious mouse. I run the rodents cafe, and I need a serious costume, something like a knight or a wizard or a king. I'd be too embarrassed to go as a frog princess. Felicia just shrugged. Suit yourself, she said simply. If you don't want it, that's okay. Bye. She headed towards the door, but I stopped her. Wait, I squeaked. Please help me, Felisa. She just said. What can I do, Geronimo? She said. Until this morning, I had a lot of red, beautiful costumes. It was red, yellow, and green dragon, with or without king wings, with wizards and Socrates, kings with or without counts, knights completely with white horses, gnomes, trolls, and some truly nightmarish characters. I had monsters with head, ghosts in chains, and vampires too. Your cousin Trap rented a fantastical vampire costume. My eyes filled with tears again at the thousand of all wonderful costumes I had missed. I know, I said sadly. I made an enormous mistake, but what do I do? She put her paw on my shoulder. Just leave it, just give it a chance, I don't know. She said, wear the frog princess costume. It's better than nothing, right? I said, you're right. I said, now how much is going to cost me? I'll give you this as a gift, she said, with a smile. Your sister is my friend after all, and no one else is still looking for their costume at this hour anyway. I thanked her for her generosity and headed home. How silly for me to forget the date of the ball. It was all my own fault, and I had to dress like a frog. It was evening now, and the streets were emptying. Everyone in New City was cheerfully getting ready for the grand masked ball. It seemed like I was the only one feeling down in snout. As soon as I got home, I put on the costume. It was even more uncomfortable than it had been in the store. I crouched down and practiced my jumping, but my legs cramped. I signed the gold chains and medallion to make them more sparkly. Before I put the necklace around my neck, finally, I placed the crown with the fake jewels on top of my head. I sighed. It was too late to find another costume. So I had to make the best of this one. I went outside and hailed the first taxi. They came up by, but when the driver saw me, he burst out laughing. Ha ha ha, he chuckled. I've never had a frog passenger before. I hope you don't pay me with flies. He was just joking around, but I was too down and snout to laugh. Please take me too, I muttered. But he finished the sentence for me. To Golden for Castle, of course, he said. We're going to Grandma's ball, right? Where else would a frog prince be going on a Friday night? Ha ha ha. We took the road along the waterfront, and I again thought I heard a strange voice. Night, 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 night. I looked out the window but didn't see anyone. How strange. Maybe it was just my imagination or the sound of wind or the waves crashing against the shore. Who knows? The taxi stopped by the hill just before we could reach the cutter. The headlights illuminated the building, which was lit by thousands of sparkling lights. Here we are, the taxi driver said as he dropped me off. Have a good night. I hope you get that special kiss you can change out of that silly frog costume. Ha ha ha. With a resigned sigh, I headed into the castle and joined the crowd of costume rodents. I found myself in a magnificent ballroom. Oh, Golden for Castle was so beautiful. The room was lit by crystal chandeliers, and tables were covered in fine linen tablecloth and laden delicious dishes. Cheesecakes, mountains of fresh mozzarella, Swiss fondue, cheddar milkshakes, and chocolate-filled gorgonzola. Yum! The guest costumes were fantastic. They were fairies and wizards, princes and princesses, kings and queens, and knights and ladies. There were also winged dragons, spooky ghosts, and scary witches. Of course, I was the only one there in a ridiculous frog prince costume. Embarrassed, I slipped out of the ballroom into the garden when I hid behind a marble fountain towards the festivals. The water in the fountain trickled with a soft, pleasant sound. For a second, I thought I heard a strange voice in the night. Night, 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 night. I looked around, but I didn't see anyone near me. Just like a night. How strange. It might have been a sound of water, or maybe it was just my imagination. No kisses, please. After I had been hidden in the garden for about 15 minutes, my stomach began to growl. I thought that the delectable foods I had seen on the cheese buffet table had just have to be one of those Gonzalo thoughts. I checked to show my mask fit snugly over my snout, and then I headed back inside. As I jumped towards the snacks, I heard squeaks behind me. What an original costume! The mouse is really staying in character. How silly! He must be brave to wear a costume like that. Look at his medallion. It reads, "Who wants to kiss me?" A female rodent stepped forward. "I'll try," she squeaked. Let's see if the frog turned into a princess. At the moment, a shadow fell across the marble floor. A mouse dressed in purple swung her paws at the unfortunate mouse who had tried to kiss me. "Oh no, you don't," she squeaked. "This frog is all mine." Yikes! It was my date. Cripple won't cackle for. In addition to having a terrible temper, Cripple can be a bit, well, jealous. Even though I was the one dressed in green. It seemed Cripple was green with ivy. "It's about time you arrived," Cripple scolded me. "You're late, but I'll forgive you." Then she leaned over and tried to give me a huge smoot on the nose. Somehow I managed to dodge her. "No thanks, Cripple," I mumbled. "It's not really in the mood for kisses tonight." Cripple put her paws on her hips. "Well, why are you wearing that sign around your neck then, huh?" she asked. As if I wasn't embarrassed enough, mice all around us began whispering. "Who's that mouse, Cripple?" Someone said. "Some date. He won't even kiss her." "I think it's Geronimo Stilton," another mouse replied. "You mean the famous newspaper mouse?" another gasped. "Hey, Frog Princess," another mouse squeaked. "Show your snout." I was so embarrassed I wanted to melt into the floor like mozzarella on pizza. I didn't know what else to do, so I took off my mask. "It is him," a mouse squeaked in shock. "What a rude rodent," Cripple squinted at me. "Yeah, what a rude date you are, Geronimo," she agreed. Then she swung her purse at me. Unfortunately, the froggy feet on my costume weren't very steady. I lost my balance as I dodged her bag. I wobbled on my paws, and then a second later, I landed in the ballroom's famous water lily pond. Splash! I have must bumped my head when I fell into the fountain because I saw so many stars as I felt I was in outer space. I fell deeper and deeper into the water. Glug 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 glug. When I came to, I realized I was no longer at Glenfir Castle on Mouse Island. Instead, it was a beautiful magical place I have been many times before. The Kingdom of Fantasy. Sweet Melidina. I knew I was at a new mouse city anymore because the mouse standing in front of me when I opened my eyes wasn't Cripple. This tiny mysterious rodent wore the gold crown of princess. She also had a small transparent fairy wings on her back, just like Blossom, the queen of fairies. "Wake up, Knight." Her snout was very delicate. Her little nose seemed like roast buds. Her eyes were the color of periwinkles, and her whiskers looked like to be soft as silk. Her shimmery dress was a lovely light blue that matched her eyes perfectly. But the thing that struck me the most about her was the sweet smell of vanilla that hung in the air all around her. "Sir Knight," she whispered sweetly, "please wake up." I rubbed the top of my head. It still hurt where I had bonked in the fountain. Yes, I'm awake," I replied. "Who am I? I mean, where am I? And who are you?" "I am sweet Melinda," she said softly, placing her little paw over her heart. "I am the princess of the Vanilla Fairies. You are Sir Geronimo of Stilton, and the Kingdom of Fantasy. And this is the Kingdom of Fantasy. This is enchanted lagoon behind us. Isn't it beautiful?" "Princess of Vanilla Fairies?" I asked, confused. "Who? Where? They?" I had never met any mouse fairy on my other visits to the Kingdom of Fantasy, and I had never been to the Enchanted Lagoon either. I stood up and looked around. In front of me was a calm, clear blue sky. Behind me was a forest of coconut trees, and there was a soft, sandy beach under my paws. It seemed like a paradise. For a moment, I took it all in. Then I looked above me. A majestic black ship seemed to be sailing through the starry night sky, leaving a trail of moon dust behind it. I started at it with my mouth open. I had never seen such an extraordinary sight. Suddenly, there was a large flash of light. The ship drove straight towards the ground, landing in the grove of palm trees nearby. The princess gasped. "Let's go, Knight," she squeaked. "They are here, huh?" I exclaimed, as she pulled me wide apart. "Who's here?" "Shh," she whispered softly. As we hid behind some bushes, it's a long story. For now, you just need to know that they are wicked and dangerous, and there's a lot of them. Look, it's the Captain Shorttail and the Ship of Secrets." In the distance, I heard voices singing a super scary song. "Ahoy there, pirates, bold and true! Who's the fiercest cat in the pirate crew? Ho, yo ho ho! Captain Shorttail's his name. Yo ho ho! Being mean is his game. He has a blurred beard and long fur, and a sword so sharp it will slice you into two. Yo ho ho! Captain Shorttail is his name. Yo ho ho! Being mean is his game. He will make you walk the plank just for fun. If you see him coming, you better run. Yo ho ho! Captain Shorttail is his name. Yo ho ho! Being mean is his game." "How bad is he?" Once we were hidden, Melinda told me her story. "Knight, please let me explain who I am and why you are here in the Kingdom of Fantasy," she began. "I probably already know," I interrupted her. I imagine Queen Blossom has a mission for me, and that he sent you here for a message that explains everything." She shook her head, tears shining in her blue eyes. "No, Knight," she said softly. "I am the one who called you. Now, if you have the patience to listen to my story, I will explain everything." As Melinda squeaked, the sweet scent of the vanilla filled the air all around us. It was enchanting. When Melinda finished the story, I didn't know what to say. Those pirates sounded really cruel and evil. "Now do you understand why I called you here?" she asked. I am in grave danger, but I know you can help me, brave knight. You saved my friend Blossom many times, and she told me that you are very courageous and not afraid of anything. She said you even know how to defeat dragons, witches, and giants. Well, I guess I have done those things before," I muttered. "And I have been courageous sometimes, but the Captain Shorttail sounds very ferocious. Tell him, how bad is he?" She looked at me in surprise. "Why, Sir Geronimo? Your whiskers are trembling," she exclaimed, "and your teeth are chattering. Why are you so pale? You are a brave knight. Are you afraid of Captain Shorttail and his band of terrible pirates?" I was too embarrassed to admit that. Yes, Sir Geronimo of Stilton was afraid, so I made up an excuse. Well, you know, the sea water is so cold. I think I catch a little chill," I replied, shivering. "Honestly, I wouldn't blame you for being scared," Melinda said sweetly. "Captain Shorttail is really, really ferocious. Everyone in the Kingdom of Fantasy is afraid of him. Let me tell you why. I will add the photos of all of these in the end of the video. Sammy Shorttails. As soon as Melinda finished speaking up, the bushes around us pustled. And a moment later, I saw the light of approaching lanterns and smelled the stinky stench of someone who hadn't bathed in a long time. Come on, Melinda, whispered urgently. Let's get out of here. But it was too late. A second later, the light of an old lamp fell on my snout. A deep voice grumbled loudly, "Well, looky here. I found a strange little castaway." I was facing a short, stocky rat with a bumpy nose, a fierce glare, one crooked tooth, and chopped off tail. It was Captain Slammy Shorttails. "Come closer, castaway," he growled. "I want to get a better look at you." He held the oil lamp up to my snout and glared at me. He sneered. "Are you a mouse or a frog?" "I really can't tell. All I know is you are definitely not who was I looking for." Then he raised the lantern and illuminated Melinda's snout. "She's the one I'm after," he growled, grinning impatiently. He smoothed his whiskers with a satisfied look on his snout. "What an excellent surprise this is. Welcome back to the pirate crew, Princess Melinda. You thought you could escape, but no one can escape Captain Shortpaws." "Wait," I cried, trying my best to be brave. "Let the princess go. Take me as your prisoner instead." "Ha ha ha!" Captain Shorttails cackled evilly. "Listen to this frog. I mean mouse. He thinks I'm going to let go one of them. Who is he kidding? Ha ha ha!" Suddenly a voice behind him called out, "You who, Captain Shorttails? When are you going to get me that deckhand, dishwasher, potato peeler, ship cleaner, toilet washer I asked for?"
It feels so good when you are around. You got the smell, got the eyes, you coming falling down. I wonder if I can I stay by your side for life. Take my hand, go with me tonight.
Hieronymus Boulter, The Wizard's Enchanted Writing Adventure. It all started in the kingdom of fantasy.